This is CTV. Don't blink.
In the headlines tonight,
national IDs is free. It will be free. It has been and remains free.
members of parliament contest new fees for national identity card renewal, want government to revise fees. Government extends deadline for registration of border riders to streamline process.
We don't know whether he's still there because he's strong or he's still there because he's stuck.
Also, Democratic Party Vice President speaks out for the first time since the signing of NRM Democratic Party Pact. And in sports, national team prepares for Rugby Sevens World Cup, scheduled to take place in Cape Town next month.
Hello and welcome to CTV PM Edition. Today is the first day of September 2022. My name is Agi Uwase with Isaac Luchamuzi on sign language. Starting off tonight's edition, government has today revealed that Ugandans will have to part with at least 50,000 Uganda shillings for express renewal and enrollment of the national identity cards, while those who seek to replace or change particulars on the national identity cards will have to part with 200,000 Uganda shillings. Sarah Nakandi has the details.
Officials from the Ministry of Internal Affairs and the National Identity and Registration Authority NIRA, led by the Minister Major General Kahindo Tafire, today appeared before the Defence Committee of Parliament, which is chaired by the Shema District Woman MP Resme Nyach-Kongoro, where they revealed that they are ready and equipped to effectively start the mass renewal of national identity card that are soon expiring.
Citizens, whether the renewal or new national IDs is free. It will be free. It has been and remains free.
According to Minister Kahinda, the fees for replacement are high but will remain in place.
You think it's too much, then don't lose your ID. The best way to avoid that 200,000 is not to lose your ID.
When you say that if you lose your card, you should pay 200,000 shillings, from 50,000, it's a lot. You look at the peasants, look at the people that need those services. And remember, identity card is needed everywhere. Whether you are going to the bank, to the hospital, everywhere you need an identity card.
Officials from NIRA said that with the new charges that have been set, government will generate revenue of over 160 billion shillings.
Submit this budget to the Ministry of Finance, and we expect that by October, a supplementary budget will be submitted.
Takaindo Tafile also revealed that those with national IDs that have errors that need to be corrected will have to pay a certain fee after they have provided the relevant documents.
So if the system discovers that the mistake was done in-house, you will not be charged. You already be charged for mistakes you yourself made.
According to the committee, the fees set for the replacement of national ID is too high.
And as a committee, we think that 200,000 is a lot, and many Ugandans cannot afford to pay the replacement of the identity card from 50 to 200,000.
We end up concentrating on those who have money, and we end up frustrating the other poor Ugandans who want to access the national IDs. Maybe someone intends to use the ID for a certain service, but because maybe it takes a lot of time, then there is no option other than selling a goat or a sheep to go and get the express national ID.
The renewal process of national identity cards will start in June 2023 and end in August 2024. Sarah Nakandi for CTV PM Edition.
The government has today announced that they have started the process of introducing an automated driver testing machine in a bid to reduce accidents on the road. According to the Minister for Works and Transport, General Edward Katumba Wamala, he says the current testing system has loopholes that have made it easy for unqualified drivers to access the road. We have more.
Uganda has approximately 300,000 border riders, many of whom are supposed to offer swift means of transport, especially during rush hours. Although these motorcyclists have made mobility easy, the number of fatal accidents resulting from border riders is still on the rise. In 2021, it was reported that at least 1,399 border riders lost their lives in the road carnage. In a bid to reduce the road carnage, stakeholders have kick-started a campaign dubbed Safe Steps to reduce on the accidents.
So 45% of road fatalities are with the border, either the cyclists or the passengers. And that's what makes it an important area for us to focus on.
What is it that when you are riding, what you must observe for road safety? But two, what skills must you have? The ones we call road first aid skills, that when an accident happens, you are able to apply those skills and save life.
The 6-month campaign will target 10,000 border riders in Kampala and other metropolitan areas.
Because these attendants, these borders are the first people on the site of an accident. If they can give the kind of care that would protect the lives, then this close to 2,000 people die every year. We should be able to reduce that statistics.
However, accidents are not only limited to the border riders. Vehicles such as buses, saloon cars, taxis have been involved in fatal accidents, and blame has been placed on recklessness and poorly trained drivers. To avert the situation, government has now resorted to use of technology to test drivers before they are issued a driving permit.
We are still looking for partners. As government, we may not have the money to set it up. We know what we require. We have the concept. We are going to look for partners and see how we can together put it up.
The testing will include understanding of the road signs, use of traffic lights, among others.
Now, Kampala Capital City Authority has extended the deadline for registration of borders, motorcycles, riders and owners as well. The revelation was made at the Uganda Media Center in Kampala by the Deputy Executive Director of Kampala Capital City Authority, Engineer David Luyimbazi, who revealed that many people have started flocking the registration centers.
Records from the Kampala Capital City Authority indicate that there are more than 100,000 border motorcycles, but only 20,000 motorcycles have so far been registered. According to KCCA, approximately 3,000 borders are registered on a daily from the 5 divisions of Kampala. The registration exercise kicked off on the 15th of August at the 11 centers within the 5 divisions of Kampala. While addressing journalists today at the Uganda Media Center, the Deputy Executive Director of KCCA, Engineer David Luyimbazi, revealed that they are planning to shift some of the border registration centers.
The shifting of registration centers has been necessitated by the fact that schools are going to open. The schools are going to open, so up until Friday, that is tomorrow, the centers are going to be open. But next week, then they will shift to the division offices, where the registration will go on up to the deadline of 16th of September.
The registration, which is underway, aims at streamlining operations of border riders in Kampala City.
Most of the criminality in the city has a border element in it. Most of the deaths on the roads are connected to border activity in the city, which we are trying to make sure we control and reduce the impact of.
According to KCCA, only registered border riders who have been trained will be allowed to operate in the city.
We shall only plan for those who participate. Those who don't participate, unfortunately, will have to find maybe other places to operate from.
KCCA has also decided to extend the deadline for the registration exercise. They explain why the authority chose not to involve the leadership of border riders in the country.
Because mulimu bakigwanyizi bangi mu bintu by'okuregisteringa business ya border. waliwo babifudde ebyenfuna ne boonoona omulimu gwa bodaboda.
In February this year, the State Minister for Kampala, Kabuye Chofa Togabye, issued guidelines to streamline operations of border borders in Kampala, under which riders will be trained in proper road use, medical examination of riders, and acquisition of driving permits by all riders. The move also aims at transforming the city into a smart city. After registration, KCCA plans to designate border stages, determine the number of riders per stage, give them uniforms with a QR code that can be scanned to view the details of the rider. Report by Lubega Ibrahim for CTV PM Edition.
2 men convicted of killing 6 tree-climbing lions have today been sentenced to 8 years and 7 months in prison over offences they committed in Queen Elizabeth National Park located in Ishasha, Kanungu and Kasese district. The sentence was today handed to the magistrate Gladys Kamasanyu of Buganda Road Court, and it revealed that in animals like human beings do have a right to live.
Last week, Tumuhire Vincent and Ario Robert were found guilty of entering into a wildlife sanctuary without permission, where they hunted and killed the said animals. They were also found guilty of unlawful possession of species. Following the conviction, Buganda Road Magistrate Gladys Kamasanyu today sentenced Tumuhire Vincent and Ario Robert to 8 years and 7 months in prison for killing 6 climbing lions in 2021 in Queen Elizabeth National Park.
The convicts have also been on remand for 1 year and 5 months. The period they have been on remand shall be deducted from the 10 years.
According to the magistrate, under no circumstances were the convicts supposed to kill the tree-climbing lions, since they also have a right to live.
Scientifically, scientists has proved that a person who commits crimes against animals is likely to commit serious crimes against humans, which may include even murder.
Kamasanyu also revealed that the act of killing the lions affected the nature and experiential tourism of the country, hence affecting its economy.
So Queen Elizabeth National Park is being home to tree-climbing lions. It attracts many tourists who go there to track the tree-climbing lions.
With this, Magistrate Gladys Kamasanyu sentenced the convicts to 8 years and 7 months in prison.
Of course, we expected a higher sentence, but nevertheless, this has served as a deterrent to all those other users who would like to participate in killing wild animals in national parks. The accused persons have gotten 8 years, which they're going to serve in total. And we are, I think, we are happy that at least a sentence has been passed and the message has been sent, because there's been a reduction, especially in lions.
According to court, this sentence is to serve as a message to those who continue to commit such crimes. Flavia Ninkuze for CTV, PM Edition.
We take a short break and we'll be back with more news. Do stay with us.
Sometimes in life, we spend all the time trying to live other people's life. And along the way, we lose who we are by copying what other people are doing in their relationship.
You see, from the last time I met your sister, I've not spent a day or a minute without thinking about her.
It's a good surprise on a Monday. This is nice.
So you and him are
we're just friends.
Wow.
Come on.
Just friends.
You either tell me where you're from or you go back to where you've been.
Thinking it would work out for us, but yet to find out that's not who we are after experiencing a great disappointment.
She's in love with some other man, so classy, a gentleman, not poor dogs like you.
These are the mistakes girls do.
Now showing on CTV. Don't blink. CTV is now on StarTimes. You can now catch all your favorite programs, our daily comprehensive news bulletins, and so much more on StarTimes channel number 248. Stay tuned for a world of endless possibilities. CTV. Don't blink.
Welcome back. You're still watching CTV PM Edition with me, Aggie Uwase, and Isaac Luchamzi in sign language. Now, moving on, the Vice President of the Democratic Party, Fred Mukasa Mbide, says the pact that was signed between the Democratic Party and the ruling National Resistance Movement is the only way to achieve the long-awaited political transition. Now, during a discourse between Mbide and journalists under their umbrella body, the Uganda Journalists Association, the outgoing Yala Member of Parliament also concurred with the decision of the opposition National Unity Platform to boycott the forthcoming Yala elections.
The cooperation agreement that was signed between Democratic Party and the National Resistance Movement has since spurred mixed reactions among the political commentators and the masses. Besides these reactions, the Vice President of the Democratic Party, Fred Mukasa Mbide, today finally broke the silence about the development. According to Mbide, Ugandans should fully embrace the agreement, calling it the only conduit for the political transition.
The only election that can bring democracy in Uganda is the one in which he is not the candidate. How do you cause that? Agree on the several points that we formed that are part of the agreement. That's what we are talking about.
In a media discourse organized by the Uganda Journalists Association at their offices in Kawempe, Mbide revealed that the opposition could no longer push the long-standing NRM government out of power.
So these are very scientific matters that cannot be understood by merely vending buzzwords. You know, in Uganda, we have relegated ourselves to buzzwords, engombo. You see? Ajagenda. You state that the man is going when you are 35 years. By the time you state it again, you are 40 and he's still there. We don't know whether he's still there because he's strong or he's still there because he's stuck.
The Vice President of DP says the pact is far different from the regular generations, which he says will never yield any tangible results.
If you want to understand what I mean, look at porridge in a cup. On the surface, it certainly exhibits temperatures that are not the real temperatures of the porridge in the cup. That is what we have in Uganda. So clearly we are now getting back to 1986 of Uganda. That is what we are doing, this time by agreement.
In one of the clauses of the cooperation agreement, DP has an opportunity to select one of its members to serve as a junior minister in the current cabinet, following the appointment of its president, Norbert Mao, as Minister for Justice and Constitutional Affairs. Mbide says this is an open chance for DP to determine Uganda's way forward through transition.
We are going to sit on a table and determine the way forward for Uganda, to determine that political parties should be formed. It does not matter which names they will carry. To determine that we must have freedoms in an election. To determine that the current president can also see and support a candidate of his choice.
The outgoing East African Legislative Assembly member says he concurs with the National Unity Platform's move to boycott the upcoming EAL elections, but agrees with the NRM's move to back the DP candidates. The EAL legislator went on to lash out at party members who have since resisted President Norbert Mao's stand, advising them to wait the National Delegates Conference to present their grievances.
The lawyers representing jailed Kawempe North Member of Parliament Mohamed Segirinya and his Makindye West counterpart Alan Sewanyana have protested the delayed trial of their clients on charges related to terrorism. The lawyers led by Samuel Muyizi protested the delay shortly after the Registrar of the International Crimes Division of the High Court, Beatrice Antingu, further remanded the legislators and 4 of their 4 accused, saying that the pretrial judge, Jen Elizabeth, had been transferred. The said members of parliament have not even appeared in court. However, on 7th this month, they are making a year since their arrest. Segirinya and Sewanyana are charged of murder, attempted murder, and terrorism as well.
Matovu Musa.
The lawyers are putting all efforts to ensure that a matter proceeds, and on a date when it is presumed the matter would take its course, then we have no judicial officer to hear the matter. I think this is premeditated. It is one of the means under which the state wants to continue incarcerating the accused honorable members of parliament, keeping them on remand, actually serving a sentence pre-trial. It is the intention of the state. These are state machinations for the accused persons to serve a sentence pre-trial. We've been denied a hearing in several applications. Some are bail applications, others applications for consolidation of the matters before court. We don't have any date. We are promised dates even before a transfer.
Disappointed because we know these guys are very innocent. They are just persecuted for nothing. And we know they are against NUP. They want to discourage us. But we want to promise them that we're not going to give up because we know the truth. We know Segirinya and his friend, they are both innocent. And we shall not give up. We shall fight for them until they are released.
We will not go to the bush, just like our brothers, the generals, keep saying. When they were disgruntled by the way things are going, they had to go to the bush. We want to go to the bush, but we shall do whatever we're doing peacefully for as long as it is constitutional. And this is what we're doing.
In our regional news tonight, Ethiopian and Eritrean forces have launched a massive joint offensive against areas of Tigray bordering Eritrea, said authorities in the rebel region in northern Ethiopia, while Burkinabe peacekeeper has been awarded the UN Women Police of the Year. Let's take a look. Ethiopian and Eritrean forces on Thursday launched a massive joint offensive against areas of Tigray bordering Eritrea, said authorities in the rebel region in northern Ethiopia. Ethiopia, after repositioning a massive military force in Eritrea, has now launched a joint offensive with the invading forces of Eritrea against northern Tigray bordering Eritrea, the rebel forces command announced in a statement. The Ethiopian government and rebels in the Tigray region accused each other on Wednesday of opening new fronts in northern Ethiopia, a week after renewed fighting shattered a 5-month truce. The possible expansion of the conflict comes a day after the new air raid on the Tigrayan capital Mekelle, the second since hostilities resumed on August 24th in areas of the Amhara and Afar regions surrounding the southern tip of Tigray. When asked, the spokesman of the rebel authorities in Tigray accused the Abiy regime of having launched an offensive in the areas. No confirmation of fighting in these areas could be obtained immediately from independent sources. Journalists do not have access to northern Ethiopia, making independent verification impossible, and telecommunications network there operate randomly. Claimed by the Tigrayans and the Amhara, the country's second largest linguistic population, the West Tigray Administrative Zone, has been occupied since the end of 2020 by the regional Amhara forces, which are assisting the federal army in the conflict. In the statement, the Ethiopian government did not mention this new strike, which it neither confirmed nor denied. A humanitarian source who requested anonymity confirmed on Wednesday the night airstrike on Mekelle without further details. Chief Warrant Officer Alizeta Kabore Kinda of Burkina Faso is the recipient of the 2022 United Nations Women Police Officer of the Year Award. A ceremony was held yesterday, 31st of August in New York, during which Officer Kinda received her award for UN Peacekeeping Chief Jean-Pierre. Chief Warrant Officer Kinda serves as a gender focal point with the United Nations Multi-Dimensional Integrated Stabilization Mission in Mali, where she supports the Malian security forces in the Menaka region to promote and improve understanding of gender, child protection, human rights, and civil protection issues. Following her efforts, more victims of sexual and gender-based violence are coming forward to report their cases to local authorities and to receive medical care, now 3 or more per month from none before her arrival. Her efforts have also focused on expanding the number of girls in schools and reducing early marriages. Chief Warrant Officer Kinda's career has focused on protecting and promoting women's and children's rights, including between 2013 to 2015, when she was a gender focal point in the United Nations Organization mission in the Democratic Republic of Congo. In her home country of Burkina Faso, she performed these duties within the Ministry of Security and the Regional Brigade for the Protection of Women and Children, a unit for the National Police, as an investigator on sexual violence and exploitation. The United Nations Women Police Officer of the Year Award was established in 2011 to recognize the exceptional contributions of women police officers to UN peace operations to promote women's empowerment. And elsewhere in the world, Sarah Palin has lost a special congressional election in Alaska in a district that was Republican held for nearly 5 decades, while the UN has accused China of serious human rights violations in a long-awaited report into allegations of abuse in Xinjiang province. Let's take a look. Sarah Palin has lost a special congressional election in Alaska in a district that was Republican held for nearly 5 decades. The winner, Democrat Mary Peltola, will be the first Alaska native to serve as a lawmaker in Congress for the state. The rest was to fill a vacancy left after the former office holder died. The seat is up for grabs again in November this year. Former Alaska Governor Ms. Palin, 58, rose to prominence as a vice presidential candidate in 2008. Ms. Peltola, 49, was declared the winner on Wednesday by 3 percentage points in a state that ex-President Donald Trump took by 10 points in 2020. The former state lawmaker advocated for abortion access, climate action, and the state's salmon populations. Ms. Palin, who was endorsed by Mr. Trump, outspent her Democratic rival by 4-1 in the run-up to the 16th of August election, according to Politico. Ms. Peltola ran against 2 Republicans in the state's first ranked choice election, a system that was criticized by Ms. Palin during the race as confusing and unfair. The Democrat, who is Yupik and grew up in the rural part of Alaska, will also become the first woman to hold the seat. It had previously been held since 1973 by the late Republican Don Young. The UN has accused China of serious human rights violations in a long-awaited report into allegations of abuse in Xinjiang province. China has urged the UN not to release the report, with Beijing calling it a farce arranged by Western powers. The report assesses claims of abuse against Muslims and other ethnic minorities, which China denies. But investigators said they found credible evidence of torture, possibly amounting to crimes against humanity. Human rights groups have been sounding the alarm over what is happening in northwestern province for years, alleging that more than 1 million Muslims had been detained against their will in the large network of what the state calls re-education camps. In the recent years, a report has uncovered documentation, including police files, detailing those in detention, which appears to support the claims, as well as allegations of rape, torture, and forced sterilization. China has always denied any wrongdoings. However, the UN's report concluded that the extent of arbitrary and discriminatory detentions of members of Uighur and other predominantly Muslim groups may constitute international crimes, in particular crimes against humanity. PM Edition takes a short break, but we'll be right back with more news from the world of sports. Do stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching CTV PM Edition with me, Agi Uwase, and Isaac Luchamzi in sign language. Now moving on to the world of sports, the Rugby Sevens national team has today commenced its training under Coach Tolbert Onyango as they prepare for the Rugby Sevens World Cup that will take place in Cape Town. We have more.
The National Rugby Crane Sevens team is currently going on with its final preparations as they prepare for the Rugby World Cup Sevens World Cup, which will take place in Cape Town, South Africa. The tournament will take place from 9th to 11th of October, and it will be the second time Uganda will be taking part. Team head coach Tolbert Onyango says he has not made changes to the team that took part in the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham and the Challengers Series in Chile.
We're certainly not making major changes from the team that we had, the 13 players that we went with. Yes, a few knocks here and there, but I believe we're going to. The boys are showing some good recovery rate, and we should be having our prospective 12.
Uganda will play Samoa in the opening game. Samoa has ever been beaten in Uganda, having defeated the national team in 2018 in San Francisco. Uganda, to qualify for the second year in a row, won Rugby Afrique Men's Sevens at Lugogo in the month of April.
We've come to the end of CTV PM Edition. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Agi Uwase with Isaac Luchamzi in sign language. Have a good night.